Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
I was like, I don't hear nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Hold on.
You got red on too, or pink.
I know, pink. Yeah. Let me. Here, look. I got the dogs in the background. Okay. Hold on. Let me. It's a light out. It's really light. Okay. Let me do this.
I saw one of them yesterday come into the thing too.
Okay. Let me.
Oh no, that's too light.
Okay.
Who is that? Ava or Prince?
This is Prince right here.
Hey, Prince.
Say hey, Princey. He's
He's like, I want to be on. Oh, hey, Ava.
Here you go. There's the girl. Ooh.
Have you seen Candelin's new baby?
Yes.
Champ?
Yes. Yes. That's a beautiful boxer. No, okay. Outside. 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 Okay. Outside. Hold on. Outside. Outside. Out. Ava doesn't like to go outside because it's hot. Ava's like, Ava, out. 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 Go. Go. Okay. Ava does not like the heat. Hold on.
I don't blame her.
I'm gonna see if Neil can do mine next week because I have Michael Quintanilla with the he used to be the fashion editor at the LA Times.
Oh, cool.
And he was a fashion editor at the San Antonio paper, and that's how we became friends. We became friends. Okay, it looks like Sydney's trying to log on. She said her computer's slow. Okay. So yeah, I think I might pair them up together because they are, I think, contemporaries in age.
Okay.
And because they both have really good stories about, like old school stories. You got nice lighting. What's going on there? That's a nice.
It's my light above. I have a look. I can't. Can you?
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I just ordered a Zoom light, so I'm hoping that will help me.
I need that too.
Yeah.
I'll have to fill you in offline. I got so many messages about Neil, like beforehand.
Good or bad?
Like, why are you using him? Why is he on?
Are you kidding me?
I got text messages right before it started. for another day.
Are you on?
I am. I don't see myself though.
I don't either.
Start your video. You have
There we
to start video.
Okay,
Let me.
we can't, it's like everybody, everyone starts like this.
I'm so sorry. You know what happened? My sister's refrigerator. I wasn't supposed to cook dinner, and then my sister's refrigerator died, and then they scooped Cody up. Anyway, I had to cook dinner real fast, and I just
Turn on your camera.
Your camera's not on.
Camera's not on. Your camera's not on.
It should say start video somewhere.
Yeah, it should be at the bottom of the screen where it says stop video, start video with a little camera icon.
Are you there, Sydney?
Oh, there she is. Okay.
Now you got an extra Sydney.
Okay. I think, did you do it on your, are you doing it on your phone?
I am. I was
think
trying to do it on my computer. Having issues. Is it not good?
Yeah, you have
an extra Sydney over there.
I wonder, can I do something with that? Can I?
What do you need me?
Is the other one where you tried to get on your computer?
Yeah.
Log off. Okay, now.
Okay, there you go. All right, so let me, okay, let me start it. All right. Okay.
Can I drink wine?
Yes, and let me share. Sharing to Facebook.
Do you want me to get on my computer?
No.
We can see you.
Okay.
I like that top.
Thank you. I was trying not to wear black. I'm running around. I'm like sweating. This is literally like the corner of my bed because I don't have a cute part of my house.
Okay, this is my office.
They put it on Facebook. Hold on just a second, ladies.
I'm tired of being in my office, but
you know, the one thing that I love about this is all I have to do is just put on a top.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I have tights. I have tights on, so no, I have a cute top and tights.
Like literally, I could just put on a top and put some lipstick on, and I could be on shorts and some flip flops, and you would never ever know.
I've really loved you on this, Joy. I think you're like so natural, and you're radiating.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, thank you. All right, hold on.
Side of it that I don't think a lot of people get to see. You know, like you're really just enjoying this, and it's so nice to see.
Well, it's, you know, it's what's great is that just about everybody I've interviewed before. You know, I've done stories on. I know you all, and it's just a great way to have like just nice conversation that doesn't have to, you know, it's not about me writing about it or anything. So it's just, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are live. I think, are we live? We are live. All right.
Oh, let me go to Facebook and see if I see you.
Yeah, I think we're on Facebook. All right, this is the Joy Hour with a few of my really good friends, and in the fashion world and just in general, my favorite people in Houston. This has been a great way to interact with a lot of the people that I've done stories on, that I've networked with over the years, and just to talk about what's happening in the fashion world, in your world, in business world, all that kind of stuff. So I have Sydney Dow, who is Director of Retail for Houston First. She is right there. And Andrea Bonner, who is the chair of the fashion program at HTC, but she also has a really bigger title that is head of above all the different, you can say that.
A bunch of blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
But she's the fashion woman over at HTC. So welcome, ladies. How are you doing?
You.
We are good.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's just kind of just dive in. So Sydney, you tell me a little bit about what you do and tell everybody about what you do.
Sure, I'm the Director of Retail for Houston First Corporation, and a lot of people are familiar, either really familiar with Houston First or not familiar with Houston First, but we are the destination management organization for the city of Houston. So everything that's Houston's all about, we're all about, but our main purpose is also to manage Houston city-owned facilities such as the Wortham, the Miller Outdoor Theater, the Convention Center. We own the Hilton Americas in downtown, but we also are involved in, bringing large conventions to town and producing conventions ourselves. So just promoting city and how great Houston is. And what I do is,
Go ahead.
what I do is there's 3 retail stores that Houston First has, and Launch is my baby. I created Launch for Houston First, and it promotes local designers. It's a great platform that we can just feature up and coming designers and makers and artists.
And it didn't launch during Super Bowl?
Yes, it did.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. And
it's 3 years old already. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And it's been a great platform for a lot of the emerging designers, and a lot of them we would not have known had it not been for Launch.
Yeah, I'm actually so proud of, in the short time that we've had Launch, we featured over 100 designers, a lot of them minorities, and I think over 70% were minority-owned businesses. A lot were women businesses. Just to have that platform and just to show the city, not just people who come to visit the city, but locals, that there's so much talent here in all areas of artistry and artisans. Just makers. There's so much talent here.
And Andrea, you're dealing with talent on another spectrum. You're dealing with students. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
Yes, as you mentioned, I'm the chair of Consumer Arts and Sciences at HCC, and that's not just fashion. It is fashion design and merchandising. And actually, Sydney has had some of our students and former students come through Launch and has spotlighted them. So thank you for that, Sydney. But in addition to fashion design and merchandising, our division also encompasses hospitality. Sydney, you mentioned the Hilton and other hotels downtown. So a lot of our hospitality students intern there and end up working in the hospitality industry here in Houston. And we also, our division is also the culinary arts department. So we have a fabulous new building at HCC, Culinary Arts Building, and we have a culinary program and a pastry arts program, 2 different programs. I always tell people it's 2 different ones. Some people bake and the other people cook. But that's our division. I think a lot of people think of us as just fashion, but we have a lot of stuff under our umbrella. So, and I also teach a class, so I basically have no time, basically.
But both of you, your background really is, how I came to know you is through fashion. And Sydney, you were with your sister, Chloe Dow. And Andrea, you were a stylist, a personal shopper and stylist. That's how we met, right?
Yeah. Years ago when I started, I always tell the story, when I started my business, and we didn't even know each other, obviously, at the time. You were doing Shop Girl at the time. I don't know if it was considered a blog or whatever it was. And I did an event with my business, Style on Demand, at a boutique called Images. My friend Linda Bell owned a boutique called Images right by the Galleria. And I did an event there, and you did that was I think the first write-up I had from any kind of publicity I'd ever had. And then years later, I met you and I was like, oh, you're Joy. You did the write-up. Well, yeah, I was a stylist at the time, and that's how I got into the industry.
Yeah.
Joy, I remember the first time I met you. You came to the store to interview Chloe after she won Project Runway. You sat in there. You had a bench in the little hallway that kind of
Sure did. And Chloe wasn't that nice to me either. I don't know if you remember, but she really wasn't. And I know she's listening, but she wasn't really that nice to me. We were
Not Chloe.
That's hilarious. That's why she has me.
Exactly.
That's why Sydney was the PR person, huh?
Right. All right. Exactly. All right. So talk to me. How has life been? Andrea, I'm really curious with the students and transitioning to online education and everything, how has life been for you?
Yeah, we left school the week before spring break. That's when like everything shut down. So during spring break, we had to transition all of our classes to online. For classes like merchandising or any of our lecture classes, that was fairly easy. But for like a fashion design class, that was really hard because that's a hands-on class. And also for our culinary classes, that was really hard. And the instructors did a great job of transitioning everything, but it was really hard. It's kind of been 50-50 for the students. Some of them have enjoyed it and others are, having a hard time because our students like to be interactive in a classroom, learning to create garments or create, dishes, recipes, so on and so forth. So it's been a little challenging, and we're hoping to go back in the fall, but with things the way that things are right now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, we're scheduled. What we had to do is normally our classes are 18 students, and we've had to lower the caps on those classes to 9 students to allow for social distancing. So a lot of students haven't been able to get classes, although we've tried to add sections, but it's really been a challenge. I just want everybody wear your mask so we can get over this, please.
I know exactly. Wash your hands, wear your mask.
Wash your damn hands. Wear your mask, yes.
Right.
And Sydney, what about you? I mean, what's life been for you?
Life it's been tough, when personal life has been hard, but blessed, I still have my job, and just, it was hard balancing, having London still in school and trying to homeschool her, and having the baby. She just walked into the room and she's like,
homeschooling me?
London.
You are not homeschooling me.
Oh, I'm glad mine are upstairs.
But just balance everything. Cooking the 3 meals. She really wanted to make a cameo.
Hi, London.
That was her whole thing. Every Zoom meeting, she's like, can I pop in? Can I pop in? You're on Facebook Live and everything. So.
I do. That's why I wanted to come in.
So this is life right here. It's funny, actually. A lot of times my only time that London gets with me outside of having the baby, Frankie, is when I'm in my office or my office/bedroom working.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Hey, London.
so it's tough, but we started a garden and we have 5 chickens now. I feel like a farm girl sometimes.
Okay, but what about launch, and what about your stores? What happened?
The stores were just really at a standstill. Houston First was really great as far as keeping the employees safe. And so they just said, shut it down, so we've been closed, all 3 stores, the one in the Hilton. I'm actually in the process of trying to reopen that on the 13th, right before for the Texas Republican conference that's coming. But they've been really understanding and didn't want to put anyone at risk until it was deemed safe, London, can you please? Sorry. We're actually just now, I've been going in here and there. We've revamped our website so that people can shop online, but, launch is temporarily closed until further notice, the brick and mortar. So I'm actually pivoting and really trying to develop kind of a drop ship situation with the designer, so that way they have their goods on hand if they need to sell it directly to their customers. I'm not hanging on to merchandise that they could be selling.
Sure. Now,
So,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, so we're just trying to figure it out and try to make the safest environment for the staff. Houston First just had, a reduction in the company restructuring due to just budget cuts and things like that. I mean, our revenue has really been cut. So.
Yeah.
So as you are talking with emerging designers, Andrea, with students, what are you talking about for the future for this industry, fashion and retail merchandising?
Well, you were part of the web series last night. We're kind of talking about what does the future of fashion look like? And I've been asking students, how do you feel about majoring in fashion now with so many companies filing bankruptcy. And, Sydney, you mentioned, Houston First having kind of a reduction in your workforce. But we've just been telling students to, like Sydney said, kind of pivot their thinking to the normal traditional way of designing and supplying your goods to the public, and kind of come up with creative ways. I think right now the main thing is really catering to your customer. I think our local designers have done a really good job, like Chloe and David and some other people that you've had on. So really getting students to think outside of the box, and also think about technology. Obviously, technology is huge for the future, and we just can't do things the way that we used to. Next week, we're going to talk about the changing face of retail and kind of what that looks like in, some stores, what they've done. Like Chloe is doing the curbside pickup. Like I picked up my mask. I thought I had it with me. I was going to show that today. So just kind of coming up with creative ways to service your customer. But there's still going to be job opportunities out there. They're just going to be a little different than what we're used to. So.
And Cindy, what about you with your designers?
So I've been thinking about this because I knew this question was going to come up, and I've just had small conversations, just checking in on my designers and how they're doing, and it's been tough with everybody. And I was like, what can I tell them, and what to have them have a future in this industry during this pandemic. And I thought about it today, and I think you really have to look at your product, because everyone's going to be so tight on money. There's not jobs out there. So whatever you're making really has to have real value. You can't just like frivolously make a product that you think somebody might like. I think it has to have real value in whatever the product is, artistically or quality wise. But, I think a lot of design and thought has to be in that product, and it's not just for the sake of the sale.
Right. You got to really be thinking about your consumers now and what they want and what they want and what they need. Because right now it's kind of gone from stuff that we want to stuff that we need. Like we need comfortable, cute, comfortable clothes to work in at home versus, frivolous sequins stuff and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, because like I was telling you before we got on, is that I love this because I don't have to put on a complete outfit. I can just put on a top and some earrings. But then I realized I don't have a whole lot of tops. I'm like, I need to get more. So
that is my problem.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of tops. And I'm like, oh man. So, I mean, that's, as I'm doing, I'm doing these weekly and I'm doing more Zoom things. I'm thinking more about what I look like from, the mid chest up. And I'm not even worried about my shoes, and I don't know what's going to happen to my shoes. They might just, dust away. I don't know. I don't even know. So, yeah. Okay. So, Andrea, how did you pivot? How did you get into education, and why did you want to do that?
As you guys know my story. I used to work in healthcare marketing for years. That was the gist of my career. Jay's on, he knows Jay Londa, who you had on last week. And I liked it for a long time until I didn't like it anymore. And I always wanted to be in fashion, but growing up, you weren't really told to study fashion. I'm not a designer. I think most people think when you say fashion, they're like, make me something. I'm like, no, I don't sew. And when you say that, people are like, what? You don't sew? And I'm like, no, there's a whole other side of fashion that doesn't have anything to do with creating garments or anything. So for years, I did that marketing and healthcare, and I was like, what do I really want to do? Always loved fashion, but just didn't really know what in fashion I wanted to do. And I like to shop, and kind of the whole idea of personal shopping came about. And I started Style on Demand, which was a personal shopping kind of styling business, and did that for, I'd gotten laid off from a job, and I started doing that and loved it. And then the economy tanked, and I couldn't really pay the bills doing that. So I started working at Jay Londa, who you had on last week, and really got some experience. He actually hired me in as an assistant manager, not having any retail management experience, but really honed my skills there in retail. But then I went back to healthcare for a while, and then the opportunity presented itself for me to teach a styling course at HCC. So I started teaching that course, and then the next semester they were like, do you want to teach another course? And then the next semester, do you want to teach another course? So I started teaching adjunct with HCC in 2012. And then I had the opportunity to go full time in 2016. And then last year is when I became chair of the department. So it's kind of been, you know, bam, bam, bam. But it's been great. I love my students, even when I don't. I love them. It's great. I always said I would never teach, like I couldn't teach like elementary or anything like that. But teaching adults, I love it. I love it.
Do That's
Yeah.
good. Okay. And Sydney.
So natural at it.
Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
I said she's so natural at it. I mean, I think this was where
Yes.
she was meant to be, and you know, I think Andrea's been so great for HCC.
Yes.
So lucky for that.
Oh, definitely. You can
Thank
tell
you.
she cares about the students, and
Yeah.
you know, I think it has to be a fit. I taught college 1 year. Yeah, it was a long time ago, and I still
Well,
have.
you come often and speak to our students, and I
Yeah.
really like when you do. I know you speak to Diane's class often, and you tell them like it is. I'm like, no, tell them like it
I
is.
know,
They-
and I said, do I really tell them? Did I
They-
do I
they
really
need
tell
to
them?
and I like that you, an outside person, tells them that. It's like,
Well,
really?
you know, here's the thing: is like when like I'll always ask, how many of you want to become fashion designers? And they're like, yeah, and I'll say, how much money you got? And they're like,
None.
no. I said, how much money do you have? I said, because you're going to need some money. You have to have, you know, you can't just, you have to bankroll. You're going to have to, investors, somebody is going to have some money. So I think, you know, I like to get them to think about beyond the creativity part, because it is a business. And you know, too many designers in this business that have tanked, that have filed bankruptcy, that have all kinds of issues. And a lot of it is because they weren't managing the business side. They were managing the creative
Exactly.
side. Sydney, tell me
Yes.
your story in brief.
Oh my gosh, yeah, such a long story. Well, a quick story. Right after college, I studied English Lit, wanted to be a college
did?
professor. I did, I know. I don't even read that much anymore. It's horrible. I hate to admit that I am. But after that, I moved to New York because everyone said I should be up in New York, and I joined Chloe, and then I worked for a PR firm and a showroom simultaneously, which was like the best experience of my life. I got to work with Rebecca Fields with Sex and the City. I mean, just really, you know, editors from all the top magazines. And then Chloe came home to open up her shop. I did her PR from New York, and New York just got really expensive. And I, you know, my family, all my sisters were having kids. They didn't know my name. So I was like, no, let me just go back home. Packed up and ran Chloe's store, was her PR and marketing director for 12 years. It was crazy. It went by really fast.
And there are 8 girls in your family. You have to remember, say that again.
8 girls in the family. Yes, I'm the baby. My mommy still calls me baby. But yeah, you know, I was the one that pushed Chloe to join Project Runway, and then, you know, kind of launched us into this world. And then I retired. I say I retired from Chloe's store. I guess it's been almost 5 years. It's crazy. I started my own.
It's been that long?
I know, it's crazy. I retired, I think in 2012, maybe. No, that's longer.
Chloe store?
2015. I don't know, 5 years, about 5 years ago. Because I quit when I retired, and then I started my PR firm and had that for years. And through my PR firm, I was hired to create launch for Houston First. And then, and here I am in a corporate world.
Wow.
And I love it. It's a whole different type of retail and fashion. So it's
you know what I like about both.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying Sydney has employed several of our students in internships as well. So,
you know what I like about both of you is that you have kind of a non-traditional, you know, inroads into the fashion world, that it's not just, you know, being a designer or being a designer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you really kind of have a different and give a different spin on what you can do in fashion, and marry the retail and merchandising and everything. What do you like most about what you're doing?
The people that I work with. I love, I've had jobs in the past where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to see the people. I don't want to be around them. Like, when's 5 o'clock coming? And now, I mean, from my colleagues, my instructors, as well as my students, I just, you know, even on my bad days, it's a good day. So it's rare to be able to say that.
My job, I mean, Houston First just provides me so many opportunities to do things for designers, which, you know, young designers don't get. And really, I remember when I started my PR firm, the mission really was to help build small businesses, especially people in the fashion industry, because I know how hard it is and how hard, you know, Chloe worked and how hard I worked just to get the business going and getting the notoriety that we needed, you know, to be sustainable. And, you know, moments like when we had the fashion show on Discovery Green, many of those designers never had been on a runway,
Right.
Oh, wow.
you know, and then to have, just to see their faces, I'm getting goosebumps right now, just because it was such a beautiful moment to see their faces when they were walking behind the models, you know, for the final look, and, you know, the crowd. I mean, it was such a beautiful moment. And then just
That's a great show.
being able to have media opportunities for them, things that just wouldn't happen to, you know, on a regular basis. I think that's the best part of my job, really. Making dreams happen. Just kidding.
And again,
What'd you say?
I said making dreams happen.
Making dreams happen.
Making dreams
Like
happen.
fame. Back in the day. Fame.
Yes. Fame cost. What
And right here is where you start
It
paying.
starts right here.
Sydney's another person that will tell students like it is. I love it. Like, I love releasing them to y'all where y'all will like get them straight, you know, without me having to fuss at them. Like, you're like giving it to them.
Well,
right.
And here's the thing is, I think a lot of students, they see Project Runway and they think it's easy. They think that once they're on, that it's their ticket to fame and it's ticket to, you know, but that I mean, just you were right there with Chloe. I mean, it doesn't guarantee anything, does it?
No, not at all. Even when she won, I mean, she worked nonstop. You know, even the contracts that she had gotten with like QVC and I can't even remember a lot of contracts, but QVC, it was work nonstop while still trying to run a business. You know, I mean, it was a marathon, and you have to keep up with that marathon. Otherwise, you know, the benefits aren't there. So it's a lot of work before and after, for sure.
Do you think that that schools, or do you think there's enough preparation for designers coming into the business, and enough preparation for students, and just enough of this what they need?
I think it's improving for sure. I'm on the advisory board at HCC, and, you know, I love being involved in that process because we get to look at the curriculum. You know, they're constantly asking us what is missing, you know, when the students are coming out, like what kind of skills are missing. And I think, you know, I've seen a huge difference since, you know, when I first moved to Houston and we would see some of the interns we get, you know, they just weren't quite there. You know, they knew the creative aspect, but they had no idea about the business aspect of it. And I think HCC is doing a great job with trying to teach some of those skills in them before they leave the school, for sure.
Yeah, we're really pushing more business skills. That was, you know, we're trying to get a couple more business courses off in there. And I have a business background. I majored in business and I got a master's in fashion. So I kind of swapped the two. But one of the things, and I know Joyce talked about this before, is that students, people in general, need to focus on are soft skills, like how to say thank you and how to follow up and how to network and, you know,
nice.
like, about being nice, things like that.
Sad? So sad. Isn't that sad? You have to teach them to be nice and respectful.
Well, a lot of people don't know. They don't know how to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not taught manners anymore.
Well, it's interesting. So, people, I guess a lot of people in the fashion world assume that I have a fashion background because I'm a fashion journalist. And I always tell them I'm a journalist. That's my background, and I happen to pivot into the fashion world.
Right.
So I think we all have, we bring different kind of skill sets and education and everything to this. What has been the biggest challenge, do you think, of your career or where you are now?
You want me to go first?
I'm like, I don't know.
Ask this question every time, and I think for me, I really thought about this, and I think the biggest challenge for me, especially when I went off on my own, and actually through most of my career, I really undervalued myself. I didn't realize how.
Like in what way? Like in what way?
Monetarily, for sure.
Okay. You didn't ask for what you were worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Until now.
I didn't want to say money, but that was a challenge for me. Going from corporate to education is definitely, my paycheck does not look the same. I'll tell you that much. But I enjoy my job so much more that I wouldn't swap the two. So
mine's kind of opposite. It's kind of opposite, but I mean, the corporate world has its own restraints in a lot of ways. But not really going for like the bigger positions. I remember when I was in New York, working at a PR firm and doing sales, multi-million-dollar sales, and a headhunter came, and I actually interviewed for a PR position for Izzy Miyake.
Oh, wow.
And I really felt like I'm not qualified for this. You know what I mean? I did my research, but I really walked in not thinking, but the lady one of the sales reps that worked for the showroom, she was looking for a job. So she was working with this headhunter, and she recommended me for I interviewed for the executive assistant for Sony, the VP of Sony, like crazy roles like that. And just in my head, I knew at my office, I was kicking ass because my bosses, like after a while, just didn't come to work, really.
They're like, you were going to handle it.
Sydney's going to run the PR firm and do the sales. We're just going to be out in the Hamptons. And I love them because they gave me all this opportunity for all this responsibility. But I was up for these positions. I was like, whoa, I was honored to even be considered for them. But,
you know what? Maybe that's, I don't know if that's something that we as women tend to not embrace, that men will go into a situation like that, even though they might not have the skill set, and boast about how they're doing on this and that. And I think we tend to downplay ourselves a lot. I know I've done that before. I had this, and I think I might have shared this to you before, with Susan Taylor of Essence Magazine, who asked me to apply to be editor-in-chief. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is
no.
I was like, wait, it's like me? Because
when you told me that, I was like, Joy, what is wrong with you?
I know, because she's known me since I was in college. I met her when I was at University of Houston, and I, like, every 4, 5, 6 years, I would run into her, or we would reconnect. And I happened to be in Harlem after Fashion Week, and I saw her and Lynn Whitfield, who's now on Greenleaf, who was one of my best interviews. They were sitting in a booth eating, and my girlfriend, who was head of the Black Journalists National Association, she's like, let's go over there and talk to him. And I went over there, and Susan, like, I introduced myself. She's like, I know who you are.
Oh my God.
Like, are you ready to fly? I'm like, yeah, where are we going? And she's like, I want you to apply to be editor-in-chief. And so I went through I did. It was an amazing process. I hadn't thought of myself in that way. And it's sometimes when you have somebody who sees you in a bigger role than you see for yourself, that it really helps you kind of to push you out of your comfort zone. So anyway, yeah. So, all right. So what do you want to do in fashion in this world that you haven't done?
Ugh.
I don't know.
It's another fashion show. I'm just kidding.
Produce another fashion show.
No, I said not produce another fashion.
Not produce another fashion show. You know what? You know what? Interesting you say that, because I think after you've been in this business for so long, you've been to so many fashion shows, the last thing you want to do is go to another fashion show.
Yeah, it's a lot. Sydney's produced a fashion show with me, but we used to be the dynamic duo producing fashion shows. We undercut ourselves in some of those instances, asking for money. But I think something that I would like to do is maybe be an editor of something. I don't know, magazine, online magazine, something like that. I like to write. I'm not trying to be Joy Sewing. But
no, just kidding.
No. But you know, I've always loved print magazines and print stuff, and I've written in the past. Tyra Banks used to have a website called Type F, and it was short-lived for a really brief amount of time, and I wrote a few articles for them. But you know, I don't know. I've kind of found my footing in education, so I'm going to kind of ride that out for a while. Okay. I'm not trying to go anywhere, HCC. So,
Sydney?
I don't know. I mean, just honestly, okay, I'll tell you my goal when I started my own PR firm, because I do have a wholesale background because I worked for a showroom in New York. And, you know, I learned everything. My boss, Michael, if you're listening or watching, hello, he taught me everything. I always wanted to start my own showroom. I wanted, kind of through launch or just through my PR firm, I wanted to help and elevate enough designers that could produce and sell at a national level and create a showroom and then take them to market and market them as Houston designers. And we kind of played around with the idea with launch, you know, creating a launch showroom and having enough designers to, you know, because y'all been a market where it's just, there's big showrooms that just showcase everything. And that's what I would love to do. I don't know right now because of the fashion market. Who knows what's going to happen to the future of that. But that was kind of one of my dreams, to create a showroom and give designers a platform to go wholesale, but do it the right way. It's hard.
I'm thinking out loud. What if we're done with fashion shows? What if we're done with market? What if we are at a point where that's not going to happen anymore?
Yeah.
And what?
The traditional model is not going to happen like that anymore. I think I was talking to Joshua Johnson today, and he was saying something about Fashion Week has been edited down to a few shows versus, you know, the big circuit of shows that we normally see. And Joy, you probably know there was a designer who just did a virtual fashion show, and she had models walking down the runway. It looked like models, but it was, you know, not real models walking down the runway. So we're going to be seeing some of that going forward. It's not going to be the traditional model, but I don't know the answer how we're going to adapt to that, but we need to be thinking about how we're going to do that right now.
Well, you know,
and I'll be honest.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I shop a lot online. There's so many amazing online showrooms now, you know, that I shop from. That, you know, when Houston First was like, you can't travel anymore because I normally go to a show in the fall, a gift show in the fall. I'm like, that's all right. I know most of my vendors now are online, and I have to say I'm a pretty savvy online wholesale shopper. I know some buyers aren't that, you know, it's not that easy for them, but a lot of practice through Chloe's store and now buying just kind of different items, more gift related. You know, it's a lot of online shopping, even for wholesale.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be interesting how we pivot and look at things that create, you know, more creatively. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this had it not been for the pandemic, probably. You know, I never thought about this as an option. And now I get to talk to people right from my living room, and they're, you know, and it's so easy, you know, instead of trying to set something up, getting an audience and all that other kind of stuff. So, I have kids screaming in the background. Oh God.
Well, I have like my three nieces came over to watch London and Frankie, so that's why they're outside.
Lord. Oh, okay. Who are some of your favorite designers?
Oh, Andrea probably had,
I'd like
honestly
you to go first.
don't follow a lot of designers anymore. It's really, I feel like I'm kind of out of that fashion world. I'm more like, who are the local designers? What are they making?
Yeah. Okay.
You know, how can
I've
I
been
help?
doing a lot of that, buying locally. You know, of course, I said I went to Chloe's today, and David and Ibella from Mod Chic, and I mean, you know, name that you know, like Diane von Furstenberg, and I have a lot of wrap dresses, but I'm not wearing them right
No.
now. So, but really investing in local designers, and I don't know if you guys know of the brand Universal Standard.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So
Huh?
I love their store.
I love this. Oh, I haven't been to the store, but you know, that's the kind of clothing that I'm looking at right now. Is clothing that I love the sizing that they do, and
It's
like
utilitarian, but
yeah, like my size is an extra or small or extra small. I'm like, I love you. You have my picture. Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of local. I'm really into supporting local talent. You know, like with Sydney and Launch, I would always try to go and support designers there. I think that's really important. And you know, there's tons of great designers out there that are not the names that we know of.
So I'll tell you a funny thing. Before I started Launch, I rarely ever wore t-shirts out in public.
Really?
I wear t-shirts to bed, and that is it. But since I have so many t-shirt designers,
Do you really?
Yes, amazing graphic designers and just artists, and I own so many t-shirts now, and I do wear them in public with jeans, but not with. I would never do that.
I've bought a lot of t-shirts on during pandemic, and I had a lot of t-shirts beforehand. But
and you know, I've bought more t-shirts that had sayings on it that I'd never had before, you know, so that's been interesting. Can you tell me some designers offhand, Sydney, that are local that people can look for?
Sure. I mean, if you're just casual and looking for t-shirts and things, Anvil Cards, he actually has a brick and mortar off of off of Bissonnet in the Rice Village. State Line Designs, Miradella, if you like the whole Spanglish things. He has really like Shiflata.
What about Adonis? What's his company?
Adonis, Diversity.
Oh, Diversity.
And Carla Sue, who does the Keep Houston Dope t-shirts.
Sure.
I think she's doing a series called Black Magic. No,
okay.
no, that's Carissa. Carissa's doing that style. Oni, who you just featured, you had on, she's amazing. For apparel, she's one of my favorite designers.
She's a former HCC student too. Let me put that plug in.
What, say that again?
I said former HCC student. Let me put that plug in.
But yeah, those are just some. We have great candle makers, LH Candle, if you need something to give you a little peace at home. Simple Nut Soaps, we have wonderful handmade soaps. Queen Mother Jewelry is one of my favorites. Modern Artifacts is a great jewelry maker. She hand makes everything. She cuts the metal. She has lots of techniques that she puts into her jewelry. Brenda Grand's. I have seasoning and sauces.
She's
you got it all.
I have everything. Everything you need, you can get here locally.
Yeah.
Okay, so
She's been a great curator.
Yes, she is. Most definitely.
Curator of local designers and other things. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it looks like Daisy Mendoza, she asked how can designers get better preparation for the world out there, I guess?
Well, not just education. I mean, obviously you're going to get your education, but you need to be constantly looking for continuing education, not just schooling. You need to be trying to get additional courses outside of school or additional, you know, interning. And every time you intern, you're not going to get paid. Sometimes you got to volunteer. Shadow in Sydney would probably be a great way to
put that out there.
yeah, let me just put that out there. She didn't pay me to say that. shadowing somebody, interviewing somebody, things like that. She mentioned, I think Daisy mentioned, we've had the Fashion My Future Career Day where we have different workshops in the past, but always getting more business education. If you don't get it in school, then trying to seek that education elsewhere. Take a business course, talk to small business administration. Because a lot of people, Joy, you mentioned earlier, like you're asking students, what do they want to do? And they're like, I want to be a designer. Or they say, I want to start my own business. And I'm like, what does that mean to start your own business? They have no idea.
Yeah.
And
you know what I hope is that I hope more emerging designers and craftsmen and artisans out there learn how to speak about what they do very quickly, very concisely. You know, as a journalist, I'm looking for, when I talk to, especially a lot of emerging designers, I realize many of them don't know their pitch. They don't know they don't know, like, what's the hook? Why would I write about you? Why would, you know, why would I do that? Why would anybody buy your product? And I think
we call it the elevator pitch.
Yeah, and if you can't sell your product with your words and you know, quickly, then why would somebody buy it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. In fact, oh, go ahead, Sydney.
Oh, I just think, you know, one of the things we try to train our designers is really, what's your story? And I always try to instill that. What is your story? Why are you doing this? You know, people are buying your story as much as they are buying your product.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Yes, and part of being part of launch, we actually do try to give them as much media training as we can when there's opportunity for that.
Yeah, Cindy, that's a great point. We always used to say, we talk about the elevator pitch. Tell me who you are really quickly. But also we would always say people buy from people that they like, that they relate to. So telling me your story will help me relate to you, and I might be more apt to support you or buy your product.
And I think I think everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. That's one thing I've learned about in being a journalist, is everybody has a story. And if you're around them long enough, you might get a glimpse of it. But you know, they need to be able to tell you their story. Right. One thing I like about Carissa with Lolita Style is that, you know, she did a Kickstarter, and I wrote about her Kickstarter campaign when she first started. And she was a teacher and working in her apartment and I like that story. And I ended up writing about that. And other designers that have come through launch that had, you know, interesting backstories. Not just that, you know, I want to be a designer and I have some clothes and you should write you.
They all have really amazing stories.
Yeah.
They really, really.
Yeah. Okay, so we are, well, let's see, how much time do we have? You know, these things go by so quickly.
I know.
Okay, so Luis Soto says, I think we're going back to the past with just a few presentations instead of runway shows. What do you think about that? So we were talking about, you know, will we go back to doing these runway shows and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I think designers are going to be forced to do presentations because it's going to be less costly to do a presentation than to produce a huge runway show. Money is going to be tight, and they're going to be looking at how to spend their marketing dollars or their money a little bit differently. So I agree with Luis, who I met through Sydney, by the way.
You know, we're all connected.
I know.
All connected. All right. So what has been the most, I don't know, craziest thing that has happened to you in the fashion world?
I have a funny story, but it's not quite, I don't know, proper.
I don't know if I've had.
We don't like proper. This is Zoom. This is not, you know.
Okay. I'll just tell you, when I worked in New York, you know, stylists pulled from us all the time. And we had this really amazing fake fur coat. It was like really fabulous, right? And we get it back and we pull out something that looks like a fake man part and a bunch of like press-on nails in the other pocket.
I was like, what did they do with this jacket? I don't want it back.
I don't have a story like that, Sydney. I'm sorry.
That's probably one of the craziest.
I would say just being able to meet some designers. Like I met Manolo Blahnik at Neiman Marcus, and he was so nice. I met actually, Joy, I talked about this yesterday, meeting Beverly Johnson, and I had met her in New York at Fashion Week, but then actually got her because of you to sign my magazine. So meeting some of these people that are, you know, you've heard stories about, and they were really kind, but I've met some really, really not kind people in the fashion industry as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of those, but they, you know, that's why it makes the people who are really nice stand out so much, because there are a lot of people who, you know, I don't know why people get so snippy in fashion. I don't understand it. I really don't understand.
There was another, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think they're supposed to be, but I think the new generation of designers, and especially the ones in Houston, and I think the other designers have talked about this, how there really is a community here, and we're all really supportive. A lot of the designers coming into launch are actually quite surprised about what kind of community and environment, culture that I was trying to build around launch, that everyone's there to support one another. You know, a lot of designers have collaborated because they've met and they're like, oh, you're, you know, I really do kind of pick only nice designers.
That's good.
If they're not nice, they're not in launch.
You do a great job, Sydney.
Yeah, you do. We were talking about stories, and I just had to tell this quick one because everybody thinks fashion shoots are so glamorous. And she rolls her. They think they're so glamorous. So we were doing one with the Universal Soul Circus. And we had this idea to reenact that famous photo, and I can't remember who it's, with the woman, the model and the elephant. Black and white, yes. So we're planning to reenact that. It was, I don't know if it was a Roland Murray gown. It was a really expensive gown. And the head of the elephants didn't want to lower the standard of his elephants to be photographed with the gown. And so we couldn't get the elephant, so we got a horse. And the model was on the horse and everything. And next thing you know, the gown smelled like horses.
Oh my God.
I was just like, oh, I said, I called all over Houston to find the one cleaners who could get horses out of a dress. And we did that, yeah. So, I just want to say, fashion shoots are not always that glamorous.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into them.
No, there's a lot.
People see the finished product with everything. They don't see what goes into it.
Yeah. Fun questions. How many shoes do you own?
Oh, I
played the fifth.
It a lot, and over the last probably 5 years, and every time I probably get rid of about 50 pairs of shoes.
Really?
Yes, I have a shoe closet.
Wow.
And it's full.
Well, I have to after mine, because you two came to my house when the coverture came to my house to do this, and I didn't even know really what the coverture was at the time.
Yeah.
And you both came over to my house to organize my stuff.
I put lotion on your legs. That's how much I like you, Joy. I was on my knee, lotioning your legs. So.
Love you, girl. Love you.
Yeah. No, I think I probably have at least 150 pair of shoes.
Do you really? Okay, so what's the one thing in your closet that you need to get rid of that you just can't let go?
Ooh, I have one. I actually finally let it go. I gave it to my niece, but I was at a Prada sample sale, and there was a brown strapless Miu Miu dress that Carrie wore in Sex and the City, and I couldn't even fit it when I bought it. But I'm like, this is the dress she wore during that lunch, and I held on to it for, gosh, I think over 15 years. And I finally gave it to the niece, and I said, please wear it, but do not give it away.
Oh, wow.
I don't want it anymore. Give it back to me, and I'll just hang on to it for London. But
I
It is
have
hot in the closet.
I have a Giorgio Armani skirt that I got from Loman's. That tells you how old it is back in the day, and it still has tags on it.
Uh-huh.
But I won't get rid of it because it's Giorgio Armani. But after Neil commented about Giorgio Armani yesterday,
You're like,
I'm selling it. Anybody wants an Armani skirt that has tags on it, you can have it for a small fee.
Okay. What's the fashion trend that you just cannot stand?
Crop tops.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, London's into crop tops. She's only allowed to wear it inside the house.
But London is how old? I'm talking about old women with crop tops.
Yes, and crop tops, yeah.
Or jeggings. I don't like I like leggings. I don't like jeggings, like the jeans that are like the leggings. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney?
I don't really follow trends anymore, but I mean, for the longest time, I hated the ripped jeans that look like your pants are ripped up completely off. And your thighs are exposed, everything. It's like, just get a new pair of pants or turn those into Daisy Dukes. I can't stand those, but I don't think those are as popular anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're wrapping up on time. Let me see if we have any questions. I don't think we have any questions. I'm looking. I was hoping some students would chime in.
I think Daisy's the only one that chimed in.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're wrapping up. And what do you want people to know most about this business? Advice for either emerging designers, for students, for people who are contemplating careers in this, crazy world of fashion. What would be your parting advice?
Well, certainly follow your passion, because if you're doing a job that you're not passionate about, you're not going to be successful. But also that it is a business. It is not just about your creativity. In order for you to be successful, you've got to know the business side of things.
Sure.
It's hard work. It is really, really hard work. I do not wish upon anybody who wants to be a designer. It's hard work. Just know that it's really hard work, and it takes a long time to be successful at it. But success can mean a lot of different things, to someone. It doesn't have to be a big business. I had a friend who had a line for a few years, and there was a demand for it. There wasn't enough to sustain it for longer than a few years, and that person thought, that they failed in the industry. And I said, you didn't fail. It was really successful. It was just menswear, men
Right.
that much at that time, but there were still people till this day that were asking for his jackets. And so success, I think, means it's a different definition for different people.
And I think people also make decisions about how you want your career to go, and not everybody's going to agree with it, and not everybody is going to get behind it. And I remember one time when I was talking to your sister Chloe, and she told me that she had the opportunity to be Prince's costume designer on tour with him.
Yeah.
And I went, wait, hold up. You said no to Prince? And she's like, that's not how I saw him. I was like, wait a minute, you said no to Prince? And she
What was wrong with her?
What?
Huh?
She admitted to me that she was, when Andy Cohen first started his show, she was in New York and his guest didn't show up, and they called her and she said no. And I'm like, what?
Oh, Lord, Chloe.
I never knew about this. Why didn't you call me first? I would have had you.
Exactly.
But yeah.
But I respect that she owned her decision, and she's like, look, I would have been basically Prince's, right there 24/7. And I'm like, if I could have sewn, I would have jumped on that. But
I would have been right there too.
I'm like, you want little pants? I'll sew you some little pants. Come on now. Okay. You want the butts out? I can do that too.
And I would have carried your sewing supplies, boy.
Shoot. Anyway. Okay. Final question I ask all my guests. And What brings you joy?
My kids. My kids are amazing. Frankie is hysterical. London, as y'all saw, she's hysterical. She's turning into such a fashionista. She judges me and what I'm wearing every day. But yeah, and my family, really, my family gives me so much joy. But my two little girls, they're amazing, really amazing.
My family as well, friends and family. And I think during this time, we've just figured out that all that other stuff is not important. It's family and friends, and we're realizing how much we miss seeing those people and spending time with quality time with them. You know, that if I lost everything, as long as I've got friends and family, I'm good.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, ladies, this has been a pleasure. It's nice to connect with you this way. Even though I can't give you a hug, it's like a virtual hug right here. Thank you so much. Again, it's been a pleasure. And if you want to connect with Andrea, do you want to get out your social media or no?
Yeah, Style on Demand. Style on Demand on Instagram.
Okay. Sydney.
Mine is Sid SYD_Dao DAO on Instagram, so you can follow me there.
And I am Joy Sewing, and this is the Joy Hour, and I will see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.